Hey everyone, it's Jill Franquelli, and welcome to Conversations with MaryJane. Before we get started, just a few words from our sponsors. Post-traumatic stress disorder, or PTSD, is diagnosed after a person demonstrates symptoms like emotional numbness and avoidance of places, people, or activities that are reminders of that trauma. Feeling jumpy and being easily irritated and angered can also be symptoms. Cannabis has been shown as a possible treatment option for those where standard PTSD treatments haven't worked. And in fact, the United States Food and Drug Administration recently approved a medical cannabis trial for military veterans suffering from PTSD. The team at Peak Relief believes in the therapeutic power of cannabis and how it can be used to effectively treat PTSD and other medical conditions. To learn more about other qualifying conditions in Maryland, you can visit relief.tv/PTSD. Mention this ad for 10% off your total purchase during your next visit at Peak Relief. And you can follow them on Twitter and Facebook at Peak Relief and on Instagram at Peakstagram. Thank you so much for Peak Relief for your supporting Conversations with MaryJane. Our next sponsor, Pure Life Wellness, is my home dispensary. They're just a few blocks from where I live. I love going to see the team there. And my favorite day to visit is Industry Day on Tuesday. If you're in the cannabis or the restaurant industry, you'll get 25% off your order that day, and maybe I will see you there. You can visit them at the heart of Federal Hill, right across the newly designed Cross Street Market, and visit them online at purelifebaltimore.com. Thank you so much, Pure Life. Welcome to another episode of Conversations with MaryJane. Today I'm here with Larry Ryan. This story's been over a year in the making. We've been constantly talking about when I finally get to share Larry's story, but we both knew the timing had to be perfect. So I'm thankful that it is perfect today.
You're humbling me. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
And so you've spent most of your career as an IT professional, 21 years.
Correct.
And now you are in the cannabis industry.
Correct.
Yep. And you are a fierce advocate, as well as you like to play the guitar a little bit too. I know that.
Yeah. I consider myself badly, but yeah, I like to play the guitar. It's one of my stress relievers.
Yeah.
So, it's fun.
Yeah.
Keeps me out of jail,
Yeah.
trouble,
I'm sure the cannabis helps with that too.
Yes, it does. Cannabis keeps me sane.
So I'm especially thankful that you're here today because of what we're going to discuss. Mental health is very near and dear to my heart, having had a cousin who committed suicide because he couldn't get the help that he needed. And so I'm thankful that you're here to talk about this, and more specifically about PTSD. And so I want to talk about a very big day in your life when that changed your life. And so maybe, Larry, if you could share with us, where were you on September 11th?
I was in the North Tower on the 28th floor, Tower 1. I was a contractor working for Empire Blue Cross Blue Shield. And beautiful day. Was happy to be working in the city because it was a great place for me. I enjoyed the energy. Yeah, like anytime they told me I was going to work at the World Trade, I got a little spring in my step. It was a cool area, especially in the summertime. But I get there and, things happen. I thought it was a bomb and thought right away, I got to get out of here.
Yeah.
And that's what I did.
Yeah.
And
so I would imagine, like, we don't really need to talk more about that day because we all know what happened that day, and it was covered by the news, and it was really the effects of that.
I was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I ran away.
Yeah.
I'm a coward. That's how I look at it. I ran for my life. It is what it is. Mm-hmm. I'm just happy to be here. I've learned that each day is a gift.
Yeah.
Tell your loved ones you love them. Don't don't take that for granted, because a lot of people died that day just going to work,
Yeah.
and they didn't come home. So, think about that when you're listening to this, because it affects me every day.
Yeah.
And that's where my PTSD and anxiety comes in.
Of course. Like, how could it not? Like, that's the definition of what PTSD is, right?
Yeah, I think if you open up a dictionary, you'd see my picture next to it. And each day is a struggle. It is. I've paid a toll.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah. I do want to say one thing before you move on, that coward comment, because I'm not going to let that slide. I know that there's things called survivor guilt, and I'm by no means any mental health professional, although I like to play a doctor on TV.
Yeah, I play one on TV every now and then, too.
Yeah, so...
I stayed at a Holiday Inn, too.
Yeah, so I know that you're not a coward. I know that those moments affected everyone differently, and I think that being a hero means you're sitting here today telling your story so that others can learn from it and how to handle something like that.
This is big for me because I don't really open up a lot about it.
I know.
Thankfully, I just started going to therapy, and it's really been beneficial.
Yeah.
But yeah, I know that's maybe an offhanded comment, but it is how I feel sometimes.
Well, for sure.
Survivor's guilt is it's a mother.
Yeah. I can
Especially
imagine.
My partner, who I was working with, was a woman who had just had a baby. She had just come back to work, had only been back to work maybe 2-3 weeks, and she didn't make it out. She had a 16-year-old and a 3-month-old.
Yeah.
So it hits home.
Yeah.
Why not me? Why not me? Just
Yeah.
luck of the draw. But I know this, I ran. In my heart, I ran to get out of there. I didn't know what it was, but I knew it wasn't good.
Yeah. I mean, that's a survivor's instinct, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fight or flight.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I chose to run. I chose to run. And boy, did I run. I don't remember touching the step. I know it was crowded. I just remember hitting the street, and there was all hell broke loose.
How long did it take you to get home?
Day and a half.
Wow.
There was no communication, so my family had no idea.
So for a day and a half, they had
no idea what was going on, because when the buildings came down, all communication went down. There was no cell phone service. There was no telephone. There was news coverage.
Yeah.
They knew I was there. I was trying to get home. I was trying to get uptown to go to Penn Station, thinking that I could get on the New Jersey Transit train. But everything had been closed down because nobody knew what was next.
Mm-hmm. Wow. When you did get home, what was the reaction of your family? Like, what was that moment like for everybody?
I can't even put it into words, the relief. You're just so happy to see each other, and you're just relieved to be home. The look on their face to know that they were happy to see me.
Yeah.
To know that I was okay. I had no idea about anybody else, you know what I mean? I just, but again, it was, to say life-changing is
not big enough?
Nowhere near. I come from a real big family-oriented background, so this was like major. To think that I could have lost them all, and for a moment they thought they did.
Yeah.
And so Again, that's why I say, don't take it for granted,
Yeah.
because you never know. You never know.
It's true. Yeah, that your perspective on life is completely.
I feel like it's done a 180.
What do you notice the difference in that?
Again, I take nothing for granted anymore. Live, I know people say it, and it's a cliche, live in the moment. Enjoy what you have. But again, appreciate your family and friends. Let them know that you appreciate them.
Yeah, like saying the words.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't have to say it.
Yeah.
There's that thing saying, you care, like, hey, have you eaten? Are you okay?
Yeah.
Just reaching out.
Mm-hmm.
It goes a long way.
I know that about you, and I've felt that about you since I've known you. You really do grasp the moment. I can see gratitude in every moment that you're in.
I feel blessed.
Yeah.
Every moment is a blessing. And I'm telling you that every moment is a blessing. And if you don't believe that, let's sit down and have a conversation.
Yeah.
Hopefully I can change your mind.
I think you would. For sure. So, with this being a cannabis kind of focused podcast, I want to talk about, one of the things that you've always mentioned to me is kind of that pharmaceutical journey that you've had. So how long after 9/11 did people, either you noticed or did someone notice, where they were like, hey, Larry, we need to talk about this. Like, maybe you're hurting or affected more than you know.
I really started noticing more than anything because it was the sleepless nights.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Getting 2 hours sleep and waking up in the middle of the night, always feeling mad at the world.
Mm-hmm.
Arguing with my ex, over the stupidest little thing, and it was a journey. I'll be honest with you, because especially coming up with this, I know I have an Irish last name, but I have an Italian background. And men don't,
Yeah.
we don't express our feelings. You shut up, you know what I mean, and you put it away.
Yeah.
But it kept eating at me and eating at me and eating at me. It was a poison from the time I woke up till the time I finally passed out and got maybe an hour, 2 hours sleep and woke up again. And so I talked to my doctor, and they were like, yeah, you sound like you're having depression and anxiety, and they would give me medication.
Mm-hmm.
And I got, depending on what it was, but they're all in that same class, benzos, whatever. And for me, I had some pretty bad side effects. One of them is I get hiccups.
Huh.
Hiccups for days.
What? That would hurt, actually.
It does, to
Yeah.
the point where it's like, hey, I'm doing 10-second abs, every
Yeah.
10 seconds, and it just hurts. So you end up going to the emergency room, and they give you a shot of Thorazine.
Mm-hmm.
And that works. But you can only do that so much.
Yeah.
And I had periods where I would black out and not remember doing things. Like, I don't know how I got home. It was just not good for me. Again, my ex had a conversation with my, at the time was our family physician.
Mm-hmm.
And the program here had just come online. I don't even know how many people had started. I guess it was like May.
Yeah.
Maybe it was when it had come online, and it had to be that June. She had a conversation, and she came home and she said, look, I talked to the doctor, and they think that this might be a viable candidate for you. And I was like, okay, I'll give it a try. I went and I talked to the doctor, and she knew what I was going through and dealing with, and said, yeah, this might help you. It's, we've seen studies where this helps. And so, especially with sleep, because I was on Ambien also.
Oh, yeah. And
that's another thing. Again, waking up in time to go to work, but not knowing how I got to work. Mm-hmm. And, the drive through Baltimore is pretty hectic as it is. Not knowing how you got there is pretty scary.
Yeah.
So, enough of that. And so, I went and got enrolled in the program, and the next thing I know, I was here, but there was nowhere to go get anything.
Yeah.
Until that December.
Yeah. So, had you used cannabis before at all?
Yeah, I had.
Yeah.
And, for me, when I had, it was immediate relief. Mm-hmm. And when I say immediate relief, it just makes me feel better. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like this little voice in my head stops.
Yeah.
I just relax. I feel calmer. I kind of tend to look for, going on the medicinal side, I tend to look for indicas more than sativas, because for me, sativas tend to bring up my anxiety a little bit. Mm-hmm. So I got to watch. Although some of my favorite strains are sativas.
Yeah, well, I'm the same way. Like I use cannabis for anxiety, and so there are a few sativas that I can, but I can't do like a lot of it.
Correct.
But like indicas really help kind of tame that constant nagging that
Correct.
is like the voice of anxiety.
Correct.
And
it really seems to help. And I use a variety of methods, from flower to edibles to vaping, concentrates. Mm-hmm. However, whatever works.
Yeah. Do you find relief one way more than another way?
I feel the most effective way is flower.
Yeah.
I mean, it's almost immediate.
Mm-hmm.
But for long term, to get me through the day, I need edibles.
Yeah.
I really do. And blessed to be able to make them at home, but it would be nice to have an edible market.
Yeah, I'm waiting for that day.
Wouldn't that be nice?
Yes. Although it needs to be sugar-free and gluten-free, people.
Yeah. Peanut-free, too.
And peanut-free.
Got to include everybody.
Let's get it all. So because everybody, and we hit kind of a point with everybody's body is going to do things a little bit differently. Like I may be able to handle a few more sativas than you or vice versa. For somebody who has PTSD, and knowing like all PTSD is different and every human is different, if someone were thinking about medical cannabis, what were some tips, or maybe from the experience you had, that you could offer them?
If you're journeying into this, or you just get your card, the best thing I can tell you to do is find a dispensary you're comfortable with and talk to the bud tender. Tell them how you're feeling. Tell them what you're looking to treat. Tell them, how you're looking to feel. They can guide you. As a new patient, I also recommend keeping a journal. And it can be as simple as just some sort of notebook and take the label off the can or jar or product.
Oh, that's a good idea. So you don't have to transcribe
Correct.
everything.
You don't have to transcribe everything, like all that medical, cannabinoids and terpenes and things like that. But you'll know how it made you feel. And then when you go back to the dispensary after a visit or 2 or 3 or 4, you now have some sort of record of what's really helping you. And so you can dial in your medication then. And it's a good tip. I've learned that, through my affiliations with some dispensaries, and it really seems to help.
Yeah. Do you think, how long did you think before you really started to dial in on what medicine worked for you? Because I want to give people an idea. It's not overnight.
It's not overnight. And it all depends on, again, it all depends on you. How deeply do you want to go in educating yourself? There are some really good resources online that, and you know who they are. I don't have to mention them, right?
Oh, you can if you
Oh,
want
okay.
to.
Well, you know Leafly.
Yeah.
Leafly is a great resource.
Yep.
And again, the best resource is going to be just going and talking to your local bud tender in your favorite dispensary. There are, I don't know how many now in the state, but you can pretty
Lots.
much find, there's lots and lots, and they cater to all different clientele, and you'll find one that really suits your taste. And like I'm saying, you'll find a bud tender that you click with, and the next thing you know, you'll start your journey. You'll become more educated on the terpenes and the different levels and how they make you feel. And that's where this medicinal part becomes your own private journey. And that's where you can really dial in your medicine.
Yeah. It is like, I think a lot of people just think I'm going to just smoke some weed and all of a sudden I'm going to be better. And that's just not the way that it works at all.
No. And if you approach it that way, it's going to be a long journey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And the other thing I see in the dispensaries, people come in and they're like, I just want the highest THC. Not always the best way to go. Back in the day when we didn't care or it wasn't really medicinal, that's one thing. But, there's something called the entourage effect.
Yeah. Tell me about that.
And so the entourage effect is where you're trying to achieve what's called stasis in your endocannabinoid system. So you'll need some level of THC, you'll need some level of CBD, and that will interact with your endocannabinoid system and kind of make your body feel relaxed.
Yeah.
Or sometimes in a sativa's case, it'll make you feel uplifted and creative. That all comes together, and it's not just about the amount of THC. You need those cannabinoids also. Your body craves those. You've been starving for them for the last 50 years because we were told this was no good.
Yeah. It's amazing. Like every day I'm so excited to hear some little bit of new research, especially research that's being done for PTSD.
Correct.
I just watched High as Mike on Sunday. And
Awesome movie.
So great. Oh, that's right. You were there.
Yes.
When Dr. Sue Sicily broke down talking about the PTSD study that she's doing.
That hit home.
Yeah, and why she's working so hard, because this is such a big deal. We have more and more people. In fact, I was just researching statistics on people who walked away from 9/11 with PTSD. And it was a huge amount, not just, and I would say the numbers, but they would be incorrect. But it wasn't just people in New York or DC or Pennsylvania. The whole country experienced it. And I just think, man, more and more people are being affected by mental illness.
I can imagine, I guess, what it felt like for Pearl Harbor. But I mean, like, But
they didn't have the media
covering
every second of every day.
No, you're right. But I feel like we really lost our innocence that day. Things changed. America changed. And I don't think for the better.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree. I would agree with all of that. I think a lot of things happened after that. And I'm not by any means versed to even talk about that.
But politics or anything.
Yeah.
I just don't,
From a human side, I think we noticed.
We lost an innocence.
Yeah. What else do you do to help your PTSD outside of cannabis?
Like I said, I play guitar.
Yeah.
Poorly, badly, whatever. I enjoy sports.
You've been working out.
I've been working out. Yeah, I've lost a lot of weight since I've been on this journey, thankfully.
Yeah, hit a huge milestone not that long ago. Hit 199. I just did a few days ago, so I can understand the joy.
Yeah, I my goal was to get to 175, and I got to 175, and I stayed there, and I bounced back a little bit. But, I'll get back down to 175. I got there once before. Get out, and, working out is a great stress reliever, too. And I would like to thank, if I could, Coach Mark from Chessicana for that.
Oh, yeah.
He was an inspiration. And,
you did some, didn't they have like fitness classes
they had
on
a
Saturday?
Canafit on a Saturday, and it was free to patients. Now, come on, how can you argue with that?
Yeah.
And it was fun. It was this like circuit course that he set up, and so it was a great workout, great stress reliever. I came home after the first one, and I think I slept for a day and a half, but it was awesome.
You probably needed that.
I did.
For sure.
I did.
I think I love what you've done over the course of the year that I've known you is you've really focused on connection. And so I do see you at a lot of events. And I think that is actually one of the parts about cannabis that helps us heal is when we're together.
I feel like I have family here.
Yeah.
This is our Maryland community. It's like family. Again, I mentioned earlier, I come from an Italian family. I feel like I'm with all my cousins when we get together.
Yeah.
It's really nice. And again, we owe that to you.
No.
Yes, I'm sorry. You're the heart and soul of the community. You brought us all
Thanks,
together.
Larry. That means a lot to me.
And I appreciate it. I couldn't have this change without you. And when what you've brought to this community, the
we
energy.
make each other better.
Yes, we do.
When I saw you hit 199, the fire was reignited in me because I was like, I can do that same thing that Larry did. And that's what I do love about this community is like we are going to accomplish great things.
Exactly.
And that's what the goal of this podcast is. That's what the goal of all these stories are, is to say like, hey, there is a better way and we're doing it.
Yeah. And I want to be honest. I've met nothing but great people in this community. I really do feel blessed to be part of it. And it's not, you'd be surprised when you come to an event and the people you meet and the stories. It's spectacular. It really is. There's a connection with each and every individual.
Yeah. And connection is so healing.
Correct.
Yeah. And I'm grateful for our connection.
Oh, without a doubt.
So thankful that day that I met you. And I'm very appreciative that you shared some of the hardest moments of your life and that you are doing better and you're showing people that there is hope with it. And so thank you for continuing to do that and being on the podcast with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm really humbled to be here, and I'm really humbled to have you as my friend, Jill, and in my life. Thank you.
My pleasure, Larry.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming. We will see you guys next time.